Hello dear students, welcome to the another video tutorial of histology. In that, in previous lecture, we have seen the various types of the nervous tissues. Now, what are the nervous tissues and its structure and function? In this chapter, we are going to focus on further specifications of the nervous tissues that is maybe the synapses and the various supporting tissues to the nervous tissues. In previous part, that is part first of the nervous tissues, we have seen uh, the nervous tissue, its definition, and how that the nervous tissues are are estimated or they established in their role in the central nervous system as well as the peripheral nervous system. For today, we will discuss about the glial cells, what are the glial cells, and how they support and nourish to the neurons that are the to become neurons plus glial cells as a nervous tissue. We have seen the structure of the neuron, that may be the dendrites, axon, and the uh, terminal end. We have seen the structure of nervous tissue, the nerve cell, that may be the dendrites, the soma, axon, the node of Ranvier, axon terminal, the Schwann cells, myelin sheath, and the nucleus of that axon. And we have also seen the nervous tissue location. We have seen the some characteristics of the neuron. We have seen the function of the neuron, that how that nerve impulse being generated, and that nerve impulse is setting for an particular processes. Okay, so we have seen the dendrites, the specifications of the dendrites. We have seen the axon. uh, we have seen the axon and coating on that particular uh, myelin sheaths, and how that myelin sheaths is specified, and the plasma membrane of axon is uh, covering with these myelin sheaths as an insulator to the current flowing in these particular axons. Okay, in the classification of neuron, we have seen the four types of the neurons, that are the unipolar, pseudo-unipolar, bipolar, and the multipolar neurons. We have seen their structures, how they are look like, and we have seen the different types of the multipolar cells. Okay, okay. So in today's part second of these nervous tissues, we are focusing on the first topic, that will be the synapses. So the in the central nervous system, a synapse is a small gap at the end of a neuron that allows a signal to pass from one neuron to the next neuron. As you can see in the picture, that the small gap in between these two axons, okay, that may be the downside, may be the receiving end of the dendrite, and upper part of the in this picture may be the terminal ends of the axon, that is the, and in between that small gap is the synapse, and the process of passing that particular chemical or the electrical signal through that axon terminal to the dendrites receiving end, that process will called as the synapsis. Okay, so the synapses are found where nerve cells connect with other nerve cell, Synapses are key to the brain function, and especially when it comes to the memory. As we all know, our memory or our in the brain is stored by the photogenic memory. Okay, so what we are seeing, that will be uh, carried out by the motor neuron of eye, of retinas, and that will be chemically messaged through to the brain by the motor neurons, and that motor neurons are going to fix that photogenic memory in the our cerebellum. Okay, so our memory is stored by means of these chemical synapses or the electrical impulses that are generated by means of our eye motor neurons. Okay, so the term synapse was first introduced in the 1897 by physiologist Michael Foster in his textbooks of physiology, and is derived from the Greek word as the synapsis, meaning the conjugation. We have seen the various types of the conjugation, means they are conjugating in one place and performing a similar function for the purpose of output of something. Okay, means they are conjugating and performing one function. So that is in Greek that named as the synapsis, and that will be meaning, or English meaning of this word synapsis in Greek is conjugation. Okay, so what these synapses do? This is a general question that anybody might ask, that why this synapses and what the function these synapses does. So when a nerve signal reaches to the end of the neuron, that is the axon terminal, and it cannot simply continue to the next cell. That is the because of that gap in between that two particular cell junction. Okay, so instead of passing signal directly, it must trigger the release of a neurotransmitters which can carry the impulse across the synapse to the next neuron. Okay, and once a nerve impulse has triggered the release of a neurotransmitters, there's chemical messengers across the tiny synaptic gap or the synaptic cleft, and they are taken up by the receptors on the surface of the next cell. These receptors act much like a lock, while the neurotransmitters function much like keys. Okay, when neurotransmitters may excite the neuron they bind to or inhibit it. Okay, this neurotransmitter does the either two functions. They might be excite that particular process, or they might stop that process. That means they might be inhibit that. So as we can see some example like the in our day-to-day life, that the nerve signal like an electric current flowing from the wire, that means that axon, and the neurons like wire. Okay, that axon means that neuron simply, that neuron like wire, and that electric impulse as a electric current flowing through that wire, and at the junction, that means the at the synaptic cleft, is referred as our button box, our switches. Okay, when we are going to put on that switch, then our light in the house will be enlightened. That means when that is a gap between that switch. Okay, when we are going to put on and put off, that means put off means we are inhibiting that current to get touch with that light, and light will be off automatically. And when we are going to put on that particular key or particular that switch, then the current will flow from that particular tiny gap, as referred here as a synaptic cleft, and that current will be proceed to its target. Okay, so likewise these synapses are the switches, or the synaptic clefts are the junction boxes to connect the current to the lamp. Okay, so we are allowing that synapses is allowing that electrical impulse to get touch with its target. Okay, or that particular process is being proceed by means of this particular type of the synapses. Okay, and the part of the synapse, what are the different part of the synapse? That the synapses are composed of three main parts, that are the first one is the uh, presynaptic ending of axon, of first axon, and that contains the neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are the chemical signals or maybe the electrical impulses. Mainly these neurotransmitters are the chemical signals which are packed in the vesicles, and that are passed by means of the um, that vesicles are fused with the membrane of that particular axon, and that will be the release in this synaptic cleft, that is the gap between these two presynaptic and the postsynaptic endings. Okay, the second part is the synaptic cleft between the two nerve cells. That fine gap is the referred as the presynaptic cleft. And the third main part will be the postsynaptic ending. Okay, so the presynaptic ending will be the donating end of these neurotransmitters. The synaptic cleft will be the particular area to that release by these presynaptic endings, and postsynaptic endings are the receiving ends of the dendrites or the targeted organ. Okay, so or the targeted cell itself. So on this postsynaptic ending, there are specialized receptors which have the ability to the specific chemical signals that will be get touch with that or get attached with that particular receptors on that receptor site. An electrical impulse is traveled down the axon of a neuron, then triggered the release of these tiny vesicles containing the neurotransmitters. These vesicles will then bind to the membrane of the presynaptic cells, releasing the neurotransmitters into the synapse. And these chemical messengers across the synaptic cleft and connect with the receptor sites in the next nerve cell, that will be the on the dendrites or the targeted cell, and that will be automatically triggered an electric impulse known as the action potential. Okay, the action potential means the fluctuation in the electric current, that is simply referred as the action potential. That means the at the plasma membrane, the minus 70 as millivolt is changed by the plus 72 charge. It is at deep, we are not going to very much detail of that, but simply the minus 70 millivolt is the normal charge at a rest position of this particular type of the um, plasma membranes of the cells. And when that electrical impulse or the these particular type of the chemical messengers or the electrical impulses are generated, that simply triggers that millivolt 70 minus 70 millivolt to the plus 72 millivolt, and that fluctuation is simply referred as the action potential. and then that may trigger the various various ion channels may trigger, and the may the calcium is may the exchange of the ions happens, and these particular type of particular the triggered the electrical impulse is traveled along with this particular membrane. Okay, so as you can see in the picture, we are going to try to uh, explain about the chemical synapse. What are the chemical synapse and how the chemical synapse is generated? Okay, the chemical synapse in with the electrical activity in the presynaptic neurons triggered the release of a chemical messengers. They are known as the neurotransmitters. Mainly these neurotransmitters are the acetylcholine at most of the time, and that acetylcholine is triggered by means of these electrical impulse, and these vesicles, the neurotransmitter molecules are packed into this particular type of the vesicles. Okay, as you can see in the picture that nerve impulse is passing down the axis. Okay, then the synaptic knob, that means the its outer membrane, and the synaptic gap, you are going to see that these neurotransmitters are released in this gap. You can see on the dendrite of a postsynaptic neuron that are the receptor sites, that are the specialized receptors for these particular molecules which are being going to release by means of these vesicles. Okay, so the neurotransmitter diffuses across the synapse and bind to the specialized receptors of this postsynaptic cleft or this postsynaptic cell. The neurotransmitter then either excites or inhibits. Okay, I have highlighted these excites and inhibits in two different color, and their function in two different color in the next point. So that the when that will be excited, the excitation leads to the firing, means excitation leads to uh, going to boost that action potential. Okay, and when they are going to inhibit at that time, that while in inhibition they are going to prevent the propagation of that signal. Okay, so the in chemical synapses, the electrical activity is going to trigger a chemical activity. Okay, and this particular process is going to take time, but this particular process is very much fast. But faster than this process is known as the electrical synapses. So why this chemical synapse is little bit slower than the electrical synapse? That this transmission of excitation in the electrical synapses at the receiving end, that these gaps are filled by means of the gap junctions, and these gap junctions are providing the uh, vacuum or the place for these electrical impulses to flow rapidly from this particular type of the gap. So these are the main difference, that are the chemical synapse is slower than the electrical synapse, which are mediated by means of the gap junctions. So the in electrical synapse, in this type, two neurons are connected by specialized channels known as the gap junctions. And electrical synapses allows electrical signals to travel quickly from presynaptic cell to the postsynaptic cell, rapidly speeding up the transfer of the signals. So the gap between electrical synapses is much smaller than that of the chemical synapse, about 3.5 nanometer compared to 20 nanometer. Okay, so this gap in the 20 nanometer in the chemical synapses is reduced in the electrical synapse, by the much 3.5 nanometer. Okay, so the special protein channels that connect to two cells make it possible for the positive current from the presynaptic neuron to flow directly in the postsynaptic cell, and electrical synapse transfer signal much faster than the chemical synapse. So there is nothing rocket science in this, that the electrical synapse is little bit faster than the chemical synapses. As you can see in this particular picture, that the conduction of the excitation is done by means of the axon, and these impulses are carried out by means of the electrical impulses, and that are in the chemical synapse. They are triggering that particular type of the neurotransmitters, and that are released by means of the vesicles with diffusion with this particular type of the uh, membrane, and that neurotransmitters are released in the flow ion channels, and that are receiving by means of these particular type of the receptors, and then these voltage gated channels are get open, and these at these chemical signals as or this impulse is get passed by means of this chemical synapse. Similarly, in the electrical synapse, that conduction of the excitation, that is the impulses, is carried out by means of axon, and that are directly uh, transmission of excitation by means of the gap junctions, uh, as a voltage gated gap junctions, and directly pass that particular electrical impulses or the chemical particular electrical impulses as a message. That particular message is passed by means of these particular electrical signals. Okay, so as you can see, the three type of the synapses, these are the three main types of synapses are seen in this particular type of picture. So as in red is the axosomatic synapse, that means the axon ending of this particular one type of one first one neuron is going to pass that signal to the cell body of another neuron, that is referred as the axosomatic synapse. Okay, and axodendritic synapse means the uh, that particular type of the endings, nerve endings, are going to transmit that particular message by means of the nerve ending to the axon terminals of dendroids. Okay, so they are passing their axon terminal to dendrites as a receiving signals on the axodendritic synapses. So axogonic um, axonic synapses, that means axon is going to first axon is going to convey the that message to the axon itself of the another neuron. uh, so as you can see in the realistic picture of this particular type of the synapses, as you can see in the purple color, that is the axon of a neuron, and axosomatic synapses, that is the yellow body, which is the cell body of a neuron, and that axon is going to uh, convey a message to the cell body, that is referred as the axosomatic synapses or the soma of a prosynaptic neuron. Okay, so these are the three main type are mentioned in our textbook. So the classification of neuron based on the functions of that particular neuron is going to convey. Okay, the first one is the receptor neurons or the sensory neurons. They carry impulses from sense organs to the brain and spinal cords. So as we have all know that the all our sense organs means our touch by the skin, the we have sense of smell, by our nostrils, sense of touch by our skin, sense of vision by our eyes, and sense of audible sound by our ears. So these all are sensory organs, that are the five sensory organs, are carries impulses from these particular organs to the brain and the spinal cord. And the neurons or the sensory neurons are in function in these particular type of the sensory organs are the receptor neurons or the sensory neurons. Okay. The second main classification of the neuron will be the effector motor or the motor or the effector neurons. Okay. So these effector neurons transmit impulses to the effector organs and cause the movements or the action. Okay, our movements and actions are totally controlled and messaged by means of these effector neurons or the motor neurons. And third main type are the internucleal or the connector neurons. These connector neurons occurs in the central nervous system and are connecting link between the sensory and the motor neuron. Okay, so they are functioning in between they are simultaneous function, and they are collaborating to each other to do particular processes. Okay, so this particular type of the connector neurons are in the central nervous system, that will be our brain and the spinal cord, and they are connecting link between the sensory and the motor neuron. Okay, so there are some supportive cells which function with these particular type of the neurons. That means they support to the uh, neurons. These supportive cells are non-neuronal cells. They are interstitial tissues of a nervous system. Okay, they are non-neuronal. Okay, they are interstitial of cells of the nervous system. It is formed by the neuroglia, or it simply referred as the glial cells, which assist these neurons in their activities. Okay, there are four type of the neuroglial cells or the glial cells. The first one is the astrocytes. These astrocytes are the most abundant type of the glial cells in the brain, and they are diverse in their ability to offer several protective functions to the central nervous system. The arrangement of these astrocytes is released to the chemical and the physical interactions with other brain cells. Okay, they are interacting physically or the some type the chemically with this particular type of the neurons with the central nervous system of the brain. Okay, so these astrocytes are the glial cells which are producing the nourishment as well as the support uh, to these particular type of the neurons. Okay, so the oligodendrocytes, the second type of the um, glial cell. So these oligodendrocytes are the cells which have a smaller cell body that contains a spherical nucleus, and these cells enters cell body these cells entire cell body is occupied by the spherical nucleus, and this cell body of these oligodendrocytes are in abundant of the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So this smooth endoplasmic reticulum is present in these cells for production of the myelin synthesis. As we all know, these myelin sheaths are covered on these particular type of the axons as a coating or the as a insulator. So the production of this myelin is done by these oligodendrocytes. Okay. The third main type of the glial cells is the microglia, and these microglia, which are the brain's immune system cells. Simply, these are the special immune system of brain by means of these microglia cells, and they are involved in everything from brain development to the protecting against the diseases, and they are dendritic in the function. We have seen the dendrites as macrophages. So these cells are the as signals or the as work as a macrophages, means they scavenge in the brain and they are cleaning this particular type of the brain, and they are served as the soldiers in these in the brain cells. Okay. And these microglia is also protecting some deadly diseases or the very um, destructing diseases of the brain, like the meningitis and the Alzheimer. In Alzheimer disease, what happened? The degeneration of the our memory cells is going to occur. Okay, and that particular person which suffering from the Alzheimer disease is going to lose his memory because of the loss of the memory neurons. Okay, and he is not going to remember the even though his name may be forgot by this particular type of the person who are suffering for this Alzheimer's. Okay. The fourth main type of these glial cells are the ependyma. So these ependyma is the membrane lining of the ventricles of the brain. Okay. So the membrane lining of the brain and central canal of the spinal cord is sheathed by means of these ependyma cells, which produces cerebrospinal fluid, is shortly known as the CSF, and this cerebrospinal fluid is line the vertices of the brain and central canal of the spinal cord. Okay, so this cerebrospinal fluid or these particular type of ependyma cells are cuboidal in the nature. They are cuboidal in shape, and they may columnar in shape also, and have cilia and microvilli on their surfaces to circulate and absorb this particular type of fluid, that is the cerebrospinal fluid is produced by these ependyma cells. And these cerebrospinal fluid work as a shock absorber of the spinal cord as well as the brain cells, that are the neuron cells. Okay, so as you can see in this picture, that are the microglia in the brick color. Okay, chocolate color in the besides these yellow neuron, and these microglia as well as you can see these oligodendrocytes which are providing these CSF and myelin sheath. They are providing nourishment as well as the support to the myelin sheath. Okay, you can see the astrocytes as highlighted in the green color. So these are the type of the neuroglia cells which have special functions in this particular type of the supporting cells of the neurons. Okay, so in next, there are some connective tissues in the brain cells or the uh, nervous tissues, that are the all the peripheral nerves and the nerve fibers, both myelinated and the unmyelinated nerve fibers, are strengthened and the protected by the connective tissues described below. So these are the some connective tissues, the mainly the three type. which can be get explained what we all know about these particular type of the connective tissues are transferred in the connective tissue category, that are they are supporting, they are providing strength to the nervous tissues as well as the that particular nerve fibers. Okay, so the first one is the dura mater. So this dura mater is the tough outermost layer of the meninges. So these three in collaboration known as the meninges. Okay, so this dura mater is the outermost layer of the meninges that surrounds the central nervous system and the is pierced by the cranial nerves and the internal carotid arteries and the vertebral arteries. That means arterial network in this particular type of dura mater is seen. So the intracranially, it is formed by the two layers. Okay, that will be the outer endosteal layers that continues via the skull structures of our head, and the foramina is the particular type of the structure on the skull with the uh, periosteum. Okay, the periosteum is the particular type of the bone. So this dura mater is in meningitis, that is the uppermost layer, and it is hard and the toughest part uh, of this meningitis. Okay, so the second one is the pia mater. It is the pia mater is the innermost part. That means it will be the last part uh, which get touch with these our brain crusties. Okay, so the brain crusties are going to touch with this pia mater, and this is the our innermost part. Okay, as you can see from the upper side, that will be first one, it will be the dura mater, then will be the arcoid, and then will be the pia mater. Okay, so this will be the sequence. So the pia mater is the innermost layer of the meninges, and the pilial cellular layer firmly adheres. That means it get touch with, adheres. That means it get touch with or get clapped with these two surfaces of the spinal cord. That will be the arcuate layer and the dura mater layer. So the third part, the third most is the arcuate. So it is the middle layer between pia and the dura mater, and containing delicate strands of the connective tissues which filled by the cerebrospinal fluid, that will be the shock absorber for the particular type of the brain cells. Okay, so as you can see in this particular type of figure, that the sectioning of this our skull is done, and as you can see the upper side skin with our hair, then these particular type of the aponeurosis, that is the layer below the skin, the periosteum, the upper layer of the bone, and the hard, the toughest part, the bone, and below the bone, the three types of the matters are referred as the meninges are present. The first one below, right below the bone, are the dura mater. Okay, so these are the toughest. That means the bone itself is the toughest part, and dura mater are the tough like bone. Okay, that means the protective layer is increased to our brain. Okay, so the second most is the arcuate. So in and in between this arcuate and the pia mater, there will be these connective tissues which are filled with this particular type of the cerebrospinal fluid. As you can see, a mesh like network in between the arcuate and the pia mater. Okay, so these are the our brain or the nervous tissues. This is the end of our second chapter, the tissues, and this will be our total knowledge which is required to understand our histology. So from next chapter we are going to see the various type of the tissues and their organs and their systems, okay, as a connecting or the connecting to the histology. So up to this we have engaged to collect the knowledge which is required to understand the histology. Okay, so we will meet in the next lecture as we are starting our third chapter. Okay, thank you guys.